fall always feels like an opportunity for fresh starts and restarting healthy habits. So this week, I'm gonna be focusing on some fall self-care by doing things that just make me feel good. Before diving in, I do wanna say a huge thank you to Activia for sponsoring today's video. I'm gonna be talking more about them really shortly, so stay tuned for that. I always used to think that spending money on flowers was a waste of money because unlike a plant that survives forever, like Wilma here, these flowers are probably not gonna make it past the week. But in 2023, I really embraced the occasional bouquet because it really does bring me so much joy. Even like this bouquet in particular has those fall colors I love so much. We've got plums and oranges and yellows. It's beautiful. Just adds so much life to a space, and you know, why not? Why wait for a special occasion to get flowers? Why wait for someone else to get you flowers? Buy yourself some flowers on a random day. Make the day a little extra special. So I've been doing that occasionally, and it's been a fun little treat here and there. A fun and beautiful treat, if I do say so myself. To preserve the life of the flowers though, I did try and take off all the bottom leaves because I think I shared on Instagram how I didn't really know how to keep flowers alive, and people recommended any of the leaves in the water to kind of remove because they get gross. There's your flower tip today from an amateur flower keeper. Ah, it smells so good. Today is an exciting day because I'm hosting brunch for me and my friends. I love embracing any opportunity I can to host people over because I just feel like it embeds some really good energy into my space. And just the act of making memories with people that I care about is very therapeutic. So food is always a good excuse to bring people together. I love brunch in particular because the recipes don't have to be super complicated, and there's also a lot of recipes with toppings opportunities, so all of your guests can customize their dishes to fit their taste buds. The star of today's brunch is going to be a yogurt toppings bar with Activia. It's so creamy and delicious. It contains 1 billion active probiotics that help contribute to a healthy gut flora. There's a lot jam-packed into these tubs. I often opt for vanilla and plain just because I feel like they make really great bases for toppings. Vanilla gives your taste buds something extra to feast on, but the plain version is 100% natural, contains no added sugar and no gelatin. You can really go crazy with the toppings you add in. And on that note, I'm gonna get started on prepping the toppings. One of the hacks I learned from the internet to prevent apples from browning fast is to put them in salted water and let them sit for 5 minutes and then rinse them. So it doesn't change the flavor of them, but it prevents that speedy browning, which is important because these are going to be sitting out for a bit as the girls pick their toppings. My yogurt toppings display is complete. I just need to open my yogurt tubs, but I do love these tubs because then everyone can easily scoop out the exact quantity that they want. I tried to group combos together. Obviously everyone can go for whatever they want, but we've got apples, almond butter, cinnamon, kiwi, pineapple, and hemp seeds. And then over here, strawberries, blueberries, and granola. So I think an option for whatever your taste bud desire. Let's open these tubs. Oops. Clean up on aisle 2, you know? Nothing a little paper towel can't fix. Look at that creamy texture. Vanilla is gonna be opened as well. Let's try not to create a cleanup situation. Ah, look at that. Ta-da. A way to elevate the yogurt experience is to have fun with the presentation. So you can opt for a mason jar look, or you can do a parfait like I did here with strawberries, blueberries, and granola. You can use a funky bowl and have fun with the presentation of the toppings, or even my personal favorite, a cocktail glass, because it's so unconventional, but it makes it look extra yummy. How adorable is this one? So good. I gotta give one of these a taste test, of course. I'm gonna finish eating this, and then it's time to get the rest of the setup together. All of the yogurt toppings are in the fridge right now, so they stay nice and fresh. I think over here, I'm gonna do my coffee station and bagel station. So I'll have bagels, coffee mugs. This I'm going to bring to the island. We'll do yogurt bar here, plate settings, a croissant station. It's gonna look cute, I think. I hope. It will. There's a lot of thoughts going on there. Last year when I went to Portugal, my grandmother gave me so many linens, so I'm gonna put them to good use. Starting with this one, which I think has this beautiful flower detailing. your sign to host a brunch of your own, because this is fueling my soul right now. Once the girls get here, I'm also gonna prep some egg bites. I want them really hot and fresh, so I'll wait until they're here, but I prepped all the ingredients for them, so it'll just be assembly and into the oven. Obviously, you don't need to be this elaborate to have get-togethers with friends. It can be more low-key, but I do think it's just the ultimate form of self-care to connect with people in your life. And I treasure it when it can happen IRL in real life. I hope they like it. The anticipation is killing me.
Hello.
Bonjour. Come in. Welcome to brunch.
Oh my god. Look at her go.
Being a huge success. Food was all great, yogurt bar included, but also just being able to spend hours and hours chit-chatting, catching up was really special. It's so hard to coordinate schedules, so I just really value those times where you can get everyone in one place at the same time to actually have that quality time together, because it's just not as easy as it is in your early 20s or in high school when you've got like school or clubs or something that just naturally bring you together. When you're older, people just tend to be in all different stages and places. Not only do I want to make sure I'm valuing those moments when they do happen, but I also want to document them, not just for ending up on the internet. There's a lot of moments that I live that don't live on the internet, but I still want to be able to remember them, because my memory, I don't know about you, but my memory is so bad, and I need like something to signal, cue my brain that, hey, remember when this happened? So I tend to like photos. This is my newer photo album that I showed a few weeks ago in my latest stationery haul. I love it because it looks like a book, but when you open it inside, it's just got these blank pages that you can use adhesive squares to paste photos into. The cover says celebrating all the precious moments in life, and I love the fact, like I mentioned in that stationery haul, that this can be out as a piece of decor because it looks like a regular book, and I think that just makes you more likely to pick it up and actually flip through it. This is the extra set of photos I had from my last printout session. I'm just gonna get pasting, and I'm excited about this one. I love the process of this. I always find it very therapeutic to actually like look at the photos, get both those memories as I'm putting this together, but I just am also just pumped to see what this looks like with photos in it. I've had it for a few weeks now, and it's just been blank. It's sad. It's a blank photo album is just sad. Oh, these are so cute. Before pasting things in, I always like to go through my photos and try and group things in similar time periods or at similar events, so that when I'm flipping through the album, I'm not constantly going back and forth in time or back and forth to different get-togethers. I also tend to group it by friends as well. Oh, I know where this goes. Do we need all of these? Probably not. What I do like about this photo album, the orientation of it, is I can put a horizontal and a vertical like this, or like that, or like this, and I could actually use a pen and start writing things on the side if I wanted to do that. These are pretty funky because you just pull the tab and the little square comes out, paste it onto your photo like so, and then you just peel that cover and it will also be sticky on that side. I think one thing that I'm really loving about this album in particular is it feels like there's potential for it to be a mix between a photo album and a scrapbook, because I had this blank space that I thought, you know what, why not just add some dates, some doodles, some context, make this a little bit more fun to look through. I've never done something like this with photos, or at least I haven't done it in years and years. I used to be a big scrapbooker when I was younger, but this is so fun, and it gives me an excuse to have fun with washi tape as well. I love this memory with my cousin and I because we made the traditional Portuguese girassóis de camarão, which are basically like little shrimp fried dumplings. I feel like every culture has their version of some sort of dumpling-esque recipe, and this feels like the Portuguese version, but this was the first time we did it without the adults in the family, and it felt special for us to do it together and also to kind of succeed at a recipe that we grew up eating. On to the next one. This one's so cute too. Oh, I love this. I've got my beautiful pattern color by number book, and I'm gonna pick a pattern that I want to spend some time coloring. I think we're gonna go with this one. Obviously, you can just end up coloring with whatever colors you want in this, or you can follow the fun little guide at the back to take all the guesswork out of it. So I think right now I need to find a dark yellow. Dark yellow is color number 4. It's my first bit of coloring done. Now I just need to find all the fours. I like things like this because it's an opportunity to be creative without having to actually like be creative. You know, you can kind of just get lost in it. It also keeps you from scrolling on your phone. I absolutely hate it when I find myself watching a show and scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, Goodreads, LinkedIn. I will scroll wherever I can scroll, and I just don't feel good when I do that. It's like either I want to watch the show that I'm watching or I should be doing something else, but this I feel like is a great compromise because sometimes you do just want to occupy your brain with something else. And as far as multitasking goes, this feels like a really great thing to be getting lost in. It kind of tricks your brain into going into a flow state, which to me, whenever I feel like I'm in a flow, i.e. like losing track of time, I find that quite meditative because the act of losing track of time means you're so present in the moment that you're in that you're not even really able to think about much else. And even as I'm talking to you, I'm finding myself hypnotized by this. So I'm gonna continue doing that. Also, I'm gonna need a pencil sharpener because I'm realizing I'm quite aggressive with my coloring bits. One thing I'm noticing about this pattern too that I really like is because all of the sections are broken up into really tiny parts, even if you are using pencil crayons and going like nice and rough so that everything's nice and opaque and there's no streaks, it doesn't feel super intimidating because you're working with such a little tiny spot. I'm curious to hear what you guys like to do in front of the television, like that's not scrolling. I'm so proud of my progress, oh my goodness. It's easy to discredit things like this as silly, but I don't think there's anything silly about making time to just get lost in something. I think that's one of the great parts about playtime for kids is they're just getting lost in their own little world. And why does that have to necessarily stop as we're adults? Obviously, like we have responsibilities and we need to get stuff done and can't always be that all the time, but to deprive yourself of it completely, how unfulfilling. I always think back to the best piece of advice, which is a piece of advice that I think a lot of people give, but I really hold it to such a high standard because of the person who gave it to me, which is one of my former piano teachers. She was this older lady who you wouldn't know is an older lady because she just had this youth in her that I even like as a teenager I saw. I'm like, this woman, I want to be like this woman when I'm older, when I'm her age, because she might be older but she still feels so young when you're talking to her. She feels so full of life. And she would always tell me like you can't lose sight of your inner child. She would always tell me stories of her getting into ruckus as an adult and making time for fun, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta make sure I do that because clearly this woman, what she's doing, it's working, and I like that. All that to say, I'm gonna keep coloring now. I just finished filling out my week at a glance section for the 5-minute journal fit edition. At the beginning of the week, you set your movement plan, you put down some meal ideas for each day of the week, which I always find really helpful to do before grocery shopping so that when you do go grocery shopping, you know you're buying all the ingredients you need. And then there's also a section for you to write your intention for the week related to movement, wellness, health. And then when you flip the page, it kind of goes into the traditional 5-minute journal structure where you write down 3 things you're grateful for. Actually, now there's also 3 things that you write down that I will do for my well-being and health today, a mindful affirmation, and then at the end of the day, you write down how did I take care of myself and what did I learn from the day. I figured now would be a good time to launch into something like this because we're heading into October, believe it or not. For the last 3 months of the year, I just really want to be on my game. I don't want to wait till January to get started on healthy habits, especially because January is looking like it's going to be a little bit more of a chaotic start to 2024 for me because I'll be traveling in the middle of the month. So I kind of want to get into this headspace more now and have this be more of a focus for the next 3 months rather than like making it a 1 week, 1 time of the year thing that is reserved for, like I said, January. Like how great is it to hit January already feeling like you're making progress towards some of your wellness goals. So a journal like this can be great, or just like journaling in general, habit tracking, that sort of thing in a blank journal. You definitely don't need something structured. That is the current plan. So I'm gonna fill out my gratitude log. It's so cheesy, but I find gratitude just so game changing. It is really powerful for me whenever I find myself in this rut of comparison, because especially with what I do for a living, you can see how being online so much and posting so much, you inevitably compare yourself to others, and I don't like the headspace I get into when I'm in that comparison game, as I'm sure a lot of us don't. I don't think a lot of people feel great in that role. I mean, I think that would be pretty sad if you did feel better about yourself because you're comparing yourself to others and boosting yourself because you think you're better than someone else. So that wouldn't be very good either. But it's very destructive on the other side of things. So gratitude is like something that really grounds me back to accepting like how many great things are happening in my life, big and small, that I can just lose sight of when you're focused on what you're lacking rather than what you're being fulfilled by. I feel like this conversation has to come up on this channel a lot because it's just something I'm a big believer in, and I need to be reminded often too, because sometimes you fall off track and sometimes you're like, oh wait, I forgot to make this a priority, and now I'm getting like all up in my head, and that's not cute. All that to eloquently say, I'm gonna do my gratitude practice. I also desperately need a shower. That's the real self-care that needs to happen right now. Gratitude and bathing. What a combo. Past Caitlin popping in here to say a big thank you to Activia for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check out the link in the description box below to see all of the yogurt products Activia has to offer. And I'm curious to know, what's your favorite yogurt topping? I'll see you soon with a new video, and until then, bye everyone.
A little different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned, wear a hat, sometimes play chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday